Hi everyone, this is Diva from Blood Hunter, and you're listening to the Metal Pit podcast.
Welcome to the Metal Pit podcast. Each week we delve deep into the albums and bands that shape metal. Please visit our website, The Metal Pit, at www.themetalpit.org. And you can find us on Facebook and Instagram at The Metal Pit, and on our YouTube channel, which is at The Metal Pit 666. And you can follow our Instagram for the podcast, which is at The Metal Pit Podcast. And I also have a domain name for the podcast now too, which is www.themetalpitpodcast.com. And if you have any suggestions, or maybe you want to be a guest on a show, you can email me, podcast@themetalpit.org. I am your host, Blake, and today I'm joined by guitarist of the band GWENDYDD, Irena Angelova. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being on my show here. So before we get to, people will know what album it is when they click on it, because it'll say. But before we get to that, I'll talk to you first about some other stuff first. Of course, your band, GWENDYDD, sorry.
Yeah, it's a very weird name to have as a band name. It's not catchy whatsoever, and people struggle to pronounce it all the time, so it's okay.
So why did your band pick that name, or where did it come from?
Honestly, because it was one of the few that weren't taken that kind of sounded cool. So it was a lot of Google researching, and it's I believe it comes from Celtic mythology or something, and it's Marilyn's wife slash sister slash lover. It depends on like what source you're reading. That Gwendid basically inherited all of his magical powers, which doesn't make sense in the context of the music that we play, but we just thought that it's a badass female character and it sounds kind of cool. It looks cool on a shirt. So we were like, okay, it's free. It's this one.
Yes. And your band, would we call it melodic death metal, or is that what we would call it? Or
Honestly, I have no idea. Great question.
okay.
I don't know. I mean, we play what we feel like. So we just like to call it extreme metal, and that's that.
Okay.
I don't know exactly what kind.
Yeah,
A lot of influences.
yeah, there's a lot of genres out there, and I'm older, so I just like calling stuff. Yeah, extreme metal would have been probably better to say. But let's see, your band is from Sofia, Bulgaria. What are the biggest challenges for your band being from there, or is there any challenges? Is it the same as being anywhere else in Europe?
I would say there's a lot of ups and downs. It's a double-edged sword in many ways because on one hand, it's cool because the scene is very small, so everybody knows everybody, and it's relatively supportive, and it's cool to be a part of it. But at the same time, it's not a lot of opportunities for growth here. So you can only develop so much, and there are not too many cities to play in except Sofia. Like we have, let's say, maybe 4 or 5 more cities, so you can't really do a real tour here. And breaching out of the borders is kind of difficult because not too many bands from Bulgaria have done that, and we're really trying to push it. So I think I'm actually very happy that we kind of come from a small place and we get to see just how far we can push it.
Mhm. Now you've been together since 2018. And what's happening with the band right now? I think you're making a new album, or
Yeah, we're in the process of writing our third album, and it's so far my favorite. I guess every single musician ever says that, but I really like the way that things are coming together. We've been through a lot over the past couple of years, and it's super cool to see this band evolve and grow so much and grow into a more defined style that we do and experiment a lot more and have so much more fun with what we're doing. And we're really taking our time with this album because we want to make sure it's really, really quality stuff that we release.
and so you have no timeline on when, like probably next year, I guess, probably.
Oh, we kind of do because if you don't have any sort of a timeline, it just never gets finished. And you always want to keep on like revisiting everything that you do.
Hmm.
So we are gonna start recording in a few months. So we do have a deadline for things. And it's gonna be released next year at some point.
Hmm. Um, how did the band form? Like, were you friends before, or?
Actually, no, we didn't know each other at all, which is very interesting. The music kind of brought us together. I My guitar teacher actually told me that there is this all-female, that was at least the idea in the beginning, an all-female metal band forming, and he recommended me to the girls. And I was so nervous because I'd never played with people before, and
Mhm.
I was so nervous to meet all of them, but they were the sweetest people. And we just clicked so quickly, and yeah, we became friends and almost like family afterwards, but we had never met before.
And like you said, it was gonna first be all female. Was there a female drummer before, or did I'm sorry, I don't know. They have the names of your, but I know you have a male drummer now for sure.
Yeah, we did have actually two female drummers. Funnily enough, one of them played with Nervosa for a while,
Hmm.
which is super cool. I'm so happy for her. It's so great to see someone like growing so much, and I'm like
Hmm.
rooting for her all the time that I see her doing cool stuff. I'm like, hell yeah, that's so cool. So we did have two female drummers, but that just it just didn't work out. Like no harsh feelings at all.
Hmm.
And yeah, and right now it's still not a female drummer, so it's 50-50, so to say.
Well, a lot of bands, I guess we have. It's an all male band except for one female, and so this band is the opposite, where you're all females except for the one who
Yeah,
doesn't have
poor
a
guys
singer.
in the band, like they have to deal with a lot. So,
Okay, so let's see. When did you first discover heavy metal? Do you remember like why you got into it or?
yeah, I do, and I think I discovered it in a super backwards way because I first started playing guitar and I really liked very different types of music to like pop music. And like the heaviest that ever listened to, I think, was like the Scorpions. And so
Mhm.
I really didn't have a good knowledge of heavy music. I was 12, 13. And then I got into playing and I discovered Metallica. And
Mhm.
then everything just ended. Like that was it. I remember watching the Big Four when they played in Sofia, like the DVD, because I was too young
Mhm.
to actually attend the show. I've
Okay.
seen that show like more times that it's kind of embarrassing to admit. I've seen it so many times, and I just remember seeing all the bands play, especially Metallica, and it was such a life-changing moment. I was just looking at the guys. I was like, this is gonna be me someday. I don't know how, but I want to do that. That's so cool. And yeah, I think through bands like Metallica, I discovered heavy music, and it has a super special place in my heart.
So you were playing guitar before you discovered heavy metal because that was going to be my next question.
Yeah.
But and as coincidentally enough, of course, Metallica is who we're going to talk about today because I asked you to pick an album that was special to you. So we're actually this is like my second year of my podcast and my first ever episode. We did Master of Puppets, but it was only like 20-minute episode because me and my writer didn't know what we were doing and stuff. So I thought, oh great, we'll do because I want to do this one again. So
hmm
since you picked it, I thought, great, we'll talk about this one. So why did you want to talk about this album particularly?
Well, I think it was a no-brainer when you reached out, and I was just like, "Oh my God, Metallica!" And which album? Okay, Master of Puppets, because to me, it's probably one of the most influential albums of all time, not just Metallica, like any
Mhm.
album, especially heavy music. It's made such a big impact on heavy music, and like it's in so many people's hearts, and I think it was a no-brainer to just go with this one.
So when did you first hear Metallica, or what album did you first hear of Metallica or
But
song?
of course, I started with Nothing Else Matters. That's the first song I ever learned on guitar. I think that's most of us, guitar players especially, because it's kind of easy. You can sort of get it. So I think
Hmm.
I started with the Black Album because it's not their heaviest stuff.
Hmm.
And like as a 12-year-old, that was very digestible. But then I was like, oh my God, there's so much more. And I kind of discovered well, my favorite Metallica stuff is of course like the first albums like Master of Puppets, Ride the Lightning.
Mhm.
Kill 'Em All. Like that's so like I spent so many years just playing all these riffs and songs, and I actually owe them like so much of my technique of playing rhythm to the riffs and to their songs because I
Mhm.
spent like years just trying to get even close to that.
That's yeah, I kind of because I know you're like I'm like twice as old as you, so it's different when we're gonna discover. Because I first heard I Hit the Lights on like a heavy metal radio show, and
Oh, super cool.
I remember the DJ. It was a female DJ, and she said, "I predict in 5 years this band will be huge." And she was kind of right. Maybe it took a little longer than 5 years, but they were definitely building up with those first three albums. And of course, for me, an old guy, and I still prefer, the 80s and growing up with it. So yeah, the first like three and four Metallica albums are my favorite ones and stuff. Now, do you listen to any of the newer, do you like the newer albums, or are you just going back and listening to these classic ones when you listen to them?
If I have to be honest, I like the old stuff. It's just so much like sentimental feelings with them,
Yeah.
and I just always stick to like as you said, the first albums are to me like the greatest, and I always just keep going back to them.
And for me, I probably said this on this podcast before, but when Master, since I listened to them since the start, and so I heard Master of Puppets is coming out, and I bought it at a record store, and I live in Canada, so it was on import from Germany, I think, or something. So I got it before anybody else did. I had to pay more money to get it. So that's when I got the Master of Puppets album. But for me, I like Ride the Lightning just a little bit more than Master of Puppets, but I love them both. And I love Kill 'Em All too. So I guess we can get on to the album then. I don't think else to ask before we start. So I'm going to let you talk most about the songs. I've done this before. I'll add anything if I want to. But so now, okay, before I get to that, I guess when did you go back and listen to Kill 'Em All first, or do you remember what order you kind of went in, or?
I don't really think I remember. I think maybe I first listened to the Black Album and then I listened to Master of Puppets and Justice for All and Ride the Lightning pretty much at the same time frame. And then
Okay.
I went back to Kill 'Em All. So when I was like 13
Mhm.
and just I suppose something like that as a time frame. I can't quite remember. I was just too
Yeah, yeah.
young.
Okay, so we're going to start with Battery, of course. So what do you think of the song Battery?
My God, it's like one of the coolest songs as a rhythm player to ever learn how to play. I think it's so fun. And I remember being that and Master of Puppets, of course, but Battery is such a strong way to start an album. It's insane. And it's so good. Amazing riffs, such a powerful song. Super fun to play, very challenging, especially as a beginner. Like you cannot get that in tempo. It's just frustrating. It's great. It's an amazing way to start an album.
I'm going to say it. Oh yeah, it's this album kind of mirrors Ride the Lightning a little bit in like the format because we had Fight Fire with Fire start off slow and then pick up for the Ride the Lightning, and then this one did the same thing, and then you get the long title track next on both albums too. But yeah, Battery is one of the. I mean, I like every song, and like, yeah, this is like I think last year on the website we all did our top 50 albums of all time. I think I had the Number of the Beast first because that was the first album I ever had was Iron Maiden Summer of the Beast. So that was number one, and then Ride the Lightning was two, and Master of Puppets was three. So
All
yeah,
classic albums.
well, most of mine, yeah, were, I guess. Okay, so then we get to Master of Puppets. So, and you already mentioned this, but so what is this like one of your favorite songs by them then?
I think it is. I think it's, especially as a guitar player, everybody has seen the videos of people online trying to play it faster with the down picking and just me struggling for months to just get it even close and just practicing so hard to get it even remotely sounding okay. It's one of the just the songs of Metallica that's like such you think of Metallica, that's one of the first songs that just comes to mind. It's so iconic. It's an amazing track. It's so strong, like Battery, and then afterwards Master of Puppets is like, okay, wow.
Yeah, I like James only does two solos on this album, and one is the first one on Master of Puppets, and then he does one on the instrumental also, because I know Kirk is the solo guy. Now uh so what do you think of Kirk's solos? Not necessarily in this song, but all the albums or whatever.
In general. Okay, so when I was 13, he was one of the coolest guitar players, which now I don't agree with. No, but I think that it's very unfair, I think, to judge another person's playing because Metallica are one of the probably the biggest band, one of the biggest bands of all time. And they've influenced so many people. And to me, like James is like one of my favorite guitar players. Kirk has influenced me when I was younger a lot. One of the reasons I got my very first guitar, it kind of looked like his signature because I thought it was so cool, like with the Floyd Rose and stuff, which I regretted eventually. But he definitely influenced me a lot, not necessarily the solos, to be honest. So
Mhm.
I always I loved the rhythm of well most Metallica songs, like such great riffs, and this is what I kind of stick to this day. I just love a good riff.
Mhm. Yes, your band is. I listened to your last album a few times this week just to refresh my memory because I had listened to it before. But yes, you have a lot of heavy riffs going on in your album there.
You try.
And let's see, Master of Puppets is also the last song Cliff Burton contributed to, I guess,
hmm
on the album before his death. Now, you're a guitar player, but what do you think of Cliff Burton and, or, maybe your bass player in the band really likes him or something? I don't know.
Who doesn't? Who doesn't? I so
Yeah.
like you cannot not like that guy. Like it is. I remember actually one of the not one the very first song I ever played live on stage was For Whom the Bell Tolls.
Hmm.
So I mean Cliff is such an amazing bass player and such an amazing musician, and it's like probably, well, I mean, I wasn't around at that time, of course, but it's so devastating to kind of know what happened. And
Hmm.
well, this album is also kind of special because, well, it's the last contribution of him that we have,
Yes.
unfortunately.
Yes. And I don't know where the band would have went if he would have stayed or if he was still alive. I mean, like, I don't know if they would have went the way they did or not. I don't know. Not that I have anything. I don't care. They can do whatever they want. That's the thing. A lot of people, fans especially, will criticize things now, but I mean, you know, they started thrash metal more or less. And so you should just be thankful for what they did and listen to
Yeah,
something else now if you don't like
absolutely.
them. Yeah. So now we get to, oh, the thing that should not be. And what do you think of this one?
I think it's such an underrated song in general from Metallica. It's a great song. I really like it. I wouldn't say it's one of my favorites, but it's a very underrated song.
I think it is. It is one of my favorites. I think because it's just more. It's a little slower, I guess you could call it, but it's
Yeah.
definitely. And my first, since I'm back in the days when internet started, I'm that old. But my first email address I used, my address was Thingy because on their live shit binge and purge album, they had the songs listed with like one word and it said Thingy, so I used that as my address. So I like that song. Let's see. Okay. Then we get to Welcome Home Sanitarium, which is, like the fade to black of this album. And so what do you think of this one?
Oh my God, that is definitely one of my all-time favorite Metallica songs. It's such a strong song, and like the journey that it kind of takes you it's amazing, especially after so many heavier songs on this album. It kind of starts slower, but it's still super heavy. And I mean, I cannot say anything bad about any song on this album,
Mhm.
but this song in particular is so strong, and it kind of showcases uh their skills in songwriting, I think, so well. It's an amazing song.
Now you said about playing, did you play a lot of Metallica songs before you, like for cover songs or whatever? Or
Oh, I did. I did. I played a lot of Metallica and Megadeth and Testament and bands like that. I absolutely love that I kind of grew up on it, introduced myself to it, and then I just couldn't stop playing it.
now is there any song maybe that is like, can there be a song that's too hard or that's too, or is it all you can master it yourself too?
Now I think that I got it pretty
Mhm.
okay.
But when
But
you were
it took a
younger,
while. It took a
yeah,
while. It took a while to get there until I could sort of play it okay. Now I think I got it. I wouldn't say spot on, but it's very
yeah,
close. Just because I
yeah,
spent so many years just trying to
yes, yeah.
replicate it.
Now I have a guitar. I had a guitar when I was a kid, and I could play the start of the opening part of Master of Puppets, but that's about as far as I would get. I didn't have the talent.
I would say it's mostly stubbornness in my case. I just didn't want to admit that I couldn't do it, so I just spent
Yes.
hours doing it, and then eventually it kind of worked. So it's not so much talent. It's just me being very stubborn.
Yes. Now I like Welcome Home Sanitarium because I did like Fade to Black too, and it's the same kind of structure, like, and it's a semi ballad, I guess you want to call it, whatever. And then it picks up with the really heavy riffing and stuff. So yeah, it's one of my favorite songs too. And the lyrics for that song were inspired by the book One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, which I probably have said that before. Now, what about lyrics? I know, do you help with writing lyrics on your band or are you just music?
Oh no, you don't want me helping with lyrics. No. I only do the instrumentals. I think that's as much as I can contribute. I would like to sing more actually. And maybe on the new stuff, I'm gonna be doing some of that. But the
Mm-hmm.
lyrics I leave to our vocalist because she's so talented and she just for her, it takes her less than 2 hours to just come up with something, which to me is
Mm-hmm.
insane. And I just don't interfere. I'm like, do whatever you want, whatever kind of vibe the song gives you, just write about that. And I just trust her so much.
Oh, I was going to say something. Uh, oh, and what? Well, then what about as a fan? Like, how important are lyrics to you? Like maybe back then when you first heard Metallica, did it matter to you, or were you just into the music first and the lyrics didn't matter that much?
Well, as a guitar player, I mostly listen to the instrumentals first, but
Hmm.
then great lyrics make a big difference. So I think, especially songs, maybe like One, that's
Hmm.
probably the first song that I really paid attention to the lyrics. And I was like, oh
Hmm.
my God, that's amazing. So good lyrics just make a song great. And it just makes it resonate with people on a completely different level.
Yes. Now, I think for me, probably maybe the same, even though I'm not a guitar player, but it's always the music first, and then I'll worry about the lyrics after, as long as they're not saying something, that doesn't make sense. But even groups that don't make sense, it doesn't matter because the music saves it. Anyway, then we get to Disposable Heroes. And this is a longer one. How do you think of this one?
Again, another very underrated one. It's a really cool song, and the album picks up again after Welcome Home, and I really like the flow of the album. You just listen to it, and it just I don't even know how to describe it. I mean, everybody that's listened to it knows what I'm talking about. It just flows in such a nice way, and it kicks your ass like from the very first song to the last one. But it also takes a moment to breathe from time to time, which is great. So this song is definitely underrated again, but it's a very strong song to kind of go after Welcome Home, I think.
Now, did you ever perform this song, or like is the opening part hard to master at the start?
I don't believe I've played this one actually. Maybe I should. Now that you say it, maybe I should learn it. I haven't played this one, no. Not yet.
I guess I don't need to add anything about that one. Six, and we get Leper Messiah. I was just gonna say, I guess this is a phrase taken from a David Bowie song, Ziggy Stardust. Check that. But anyway, so what do you think of Leper Messiah?
Again, a great song. I don't even know what to say this. I mean, all of the songs are great, and I don't know which one's my least favorite because it's not. I don't want to say this one. It's a very strong song. I mean, you're really making it difficult. Or Metallica made it difficult for all of us. Like this is just impossible to hate on. What bad can you say about it, really?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, the first like three, maybe four albums, even. Yeah, they're all you know great songs, and yes, there's some people maybe don't like the instrumentals. I'm sure you do, of course, because being a guitarist. But yeah, Leper Messiah is probably like you talk about underrated songs. It's probably maybe not underrated, but probably just one that's kind of left in the dust by all the other songs, maybe. But
Yeah, a little swept under the
yeah,
rug. Yeah,
yes.
exactly.
Really know if they played that. I didn't check that if they play it live much or not.
I don't think so. I don't think they do.
Probably not. Probably one of the ones that doesn't get it.
They
Then
have
we
too
get
many
to
hits to go through, so it's kind of
yeah,
difficult to play them all.
and then we get to the instrumental 9 minutes of the Orion. Right? Yes. And what do you think of this then?
Oh my God, it's one of my favorites. It's so good. I've played it. I love it. It's just a masterpiece. I like it so much. I love it.
And this was, of course, this song, they played this at Cliff Burton's funeral.
Yeah.
As I think the early instrumentals were all him, not all him, but I mean, it was probably his idea from what I can read and in between the lines and stuff, that he was the one that was really into that kind of stuff. I think the long instrumentals and, the thing he did before Whiplash on the first album and things like that. But yes, and it's kind of, I know it's special now when they play that song and they still think of him when they do it. Then we get to the last track, Damage Incorporated. And I know you like the song, but anyway, do you have anything?
No, it's especially after the instrumental, it just not that the instrumental is slow, but it has a lot more variety. I mean, it's a very long song, right? So it takes you on a journey and then ending it kind of almost like the album started, like on a very strong, a very heavy song. It's very cool. And I can't say anything else except it's great. The full album is a masterpiece, starting from the artwork to the instrumental to the lyrics to everything. It's just incredible.
And on this song, I guess the bass part obviously written by Cliff Burton, but he's using distortion and volume swells, even though I don't really know what that means. But do you know what that means? You know what
Yeah, I would say
volume
so, kind
swells?
of. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I play sometimes.
Well, you would know, I would. But yeah, and it's like the opening track in a way, like Battery, Damage Incorporated, starts slow and ends with a bang, and yes, it's good. Now that's all the songs on that album. So usually what we do is we rate the album out of 10. So I'm gonna kind of probably know what you're gonna say. But if you were an album reviewer, what would you rate this album with a 10?
I would disagree with everybody that says that it's like less than 10 out of 10. It's so influential. It's no weak songs on it whatsoever. And a 10 out of 10, no question.
And that's what I would give
I'm
it
biased,
too.
okay? I'm very biased, right? But it's a great album.
Yes, I think a lot of it. I mean, when it came out, it had a lot of good reviews and stuff. And yeah, so I would give it 10 out of 10 too. Now, have you seen the band live before?
Unfortunately, no.
No.
I have never seen Metallica live, and that is very sad, and I really want to see them one day. I am not a person to fangirl, but I think the moment that I see Metallica on stage, I'm gonna start crying. I'm not even joking. It's gonna be a moment. So I would love to see them one day. I'm gonna be singing, screaming, gonna be such like just a little kid.
Well, you should open for Metallica.
Oh no. Oh no. That's like I have many dreams that are out there, but like opening for Metallica is just like too. I think it's like I know what to kind of aim for.
I've probably seen Metallica like 10 times, but my first one was the Injustice for All tour. That was the first time I seen them. And of course, we talked before we started recording that the Big Four DVD that they released was in Sofia, Bulgaria, but you were too young to go.
Yeah, which is such a shame. Oh my God. Like I can't believe I missed that. I've seen it so many times that is like in my eyes, again, I'm super biased, but just because it influenced me so much, it's such a good live. And the fact that it's like in my hometown, it's insane.
Were you a fan of them when they were there? Like you already knew about them when they were there?
No, I
No.
think no, I was maybe like I was 10
Oh,
and
okay.
nobody introduced me to that kind
Okay.
of
Ah,
music. So
see,
I was
so
completely oblivious to what was happening. Nobody told me that Metallica were playing. Like, what? The Big Four is coming? I mean,
well, at least you got the DVD yeah, but that would be strange that because you discovered them later, right? Really. So,
yeah.
okay. Anything, what about anything else you want to say about the album or maybe some of your other favorites? Well, I guess we're going to do that. We don't need to do that. We're going to do our top 10 Metallica songs. So here, actually, I'll do that. I'll go first on mine. And I've done this before, actually. I know my number one is the same. I can't remember if I did it exactly the same that I did it before because it was like over a year ago that I did it with on a podcast. So I'm going to go again. Now, all my songs are from the first four albums, which maybe will be yours too. I don't know. We'll see. And it's not that I don't like, there's songs on the Black Album that I like, but I'm old school, I guess. So I go back to the big thrash one. So my number 10 is For Whom the Bell Tolls. My number 9 is Blackened, which is my only song from the Justice for All album that's on my list. Number 8, I have Hit the Lights, which, as I said, is the first Metallica song I ever heard. Now it's kind of hard, like one song, they're all so good and close or whatever. But number 7, I got Master of Puppets. Number 6, I got Welcome Home Sanitarium. Number 5, I have Trapped Under Ice from Ride the Lightning. Number 4, I have The Thing That Should Not Be. And number 3, I have Fade to Black. Number 2, I have Creeping Death. And my number 1 Metallica song is Whiplash.
Good choice. Okay, that's a very good list, and you're prepared, unlike me, because I
That's
forgot.
okay. You don't have to put them in order if you don't want. You can just say your 10 favorite songs or whatever you want to
I
do.
think it's impossible to put them in order. I guess I would kind of go with what mostly influenced me. Master of Puppets is for sure on that list. And it's not number 10, it's not number 1, but it's on that list. Welcome Home, same as with your list. It's amazing. Fade to Black for sure. One for sure is on that list. Let's see what else. Okay. Oh my God. For Whom the Bell Tolls, I mean, that's the first song I ever played live, right? So it has to be on the list. Okay, let me think. Hmm. Now it's just everything just I mean I should have prepared because now it's just too many songs and I my brain kind of completely blocked. No, I would say Nothing Else Matters, okay? Because again, it's the very first song I ever learned how to play, so I have to put it on the list just because of that. Also,
Mm-hmm.
the Black Album is an amazing album. So okay, what else? I mean you said
Mm-hmm.
Creeping Death, right? Creeping Death is amazing. Amazing song. How many do I have left? I forgot to
Oh,
count. I think like 3 or 2. Help me out. I'm lost.
I haven't been counting. It's
Yeah, me
okay.
neither. Okay, well, I'm just gonna say
Well,
a couple more, I guess. I mean, Hit the Lights, such like from the first album, Kill 'Em All. Oh my God, like iconic in so many ways. I have to say Hit the Lights. And then, what else would it be? Oh,
did
okay.
you have one of the instrumentals on a top 10 or?
Maybe not actually, or maybe yes. So tough, so tough. This is such a tough list to make, especially on the spot.
Yes, that's okay. You don't have to worry about it.
Maybe Wherever I May Roam, actually. I really love that
Mhm.
song. Okay, so that'll be like I think that's 10. So I'll just go with
Yeah,
that
yeah,
and then
yeah.
regret it later.
That's that's just fine. See, it's different because there's a lot of people, my age, I guess you could say, that they don't like the Black Album because, we heard the other stuff first, and then they get to the Black Album and it's changed with Bob Rock's producing on it and stuff. And so they don't like it because it's not as heavy. Now I still listen to it and I'll still go back and listen to it sometimes. I like Enter Sandman, Holier Than Thou, and Wherever I May Roam and stuff like that. There's still songs that I like on it. And I still load and reload. I know people really don't like those, but there's still a couple songs here and there that I like. And then the one that everybody hates most, Singing Anger.
Yeah, right? Album everybody loves to hate.
But still, I don't mind Frantic. I mean, the sound's a little, the drums are a little
Yeah, the
off.
snare sound on that album is something that I kind of it throws me off too much, but at the same time, I have to give credit for doing something very unusual.
Okay, I have a couple other questions about, like you said, it was Metallic. What after Metallic? You said you listened to Megadeth and whatever, Testament and stuff like that. But what was it with Metallica that really got you? If you haven't already said this, but what was it that really took you to Metallica?
I think mostly the live shows actually, because I saw so many online and the amount of people that could be brought together by heavy music and everybody knows the lyrics, everybody's singing along, having a great time. It gave me chills watching it. And it's, I think, besides, of course, having great songs and great shows, just the fan base in a way and the amount of different people that also like the band is super cool because there's a lot of variety in what they did. And I believe that if they didn't shift from the first albums to stuff like, well, the Black Album and then everything that kind of comes after, they wouldn't have become as big if they would have stayed doing what they did. And I
Mhm.
really like that they were brave enough to just do what they feel like. And I mean, imagine you're Metallica. You came up with some of the best albums of all time. How do you top that?
Mhm.
Do you make the same album once again, or do you just go in a different direction and make the weirdest snare sound on the planet?
Yes, my thought always was they're Metallica. Like it's their band. They can do what they want. They don't have to do. I mean, if you don't like the Black Album or Load or whatever, you still have Master of Puppets or whatever, Ride the Lightning, whatever it is to listen to. Listen to that or go listen to somebody else. It doesn't really matter. Because I remember there was such a big deal when that album came out of people not liking it. Of course, it sold millions. It's their
Yeah,
best
of
selling
course.
album. So they
Yeah.
got all these new fans from it, of course. So, it didn't hurt. And, it's good when they go in concert, they're still playing all the old songs too. And like, it's not like they're forgetting the old stuff. They're still playing it. So they know how important it was and how the fans still want to hear it. Is there any, just as a guitarist, is there any song on the Master of Puppets album that is the hardest? Was the hardest? Not that you maybe played every song, but of the songs you learned, was the one that was the hardest to learn?
Master of Puppets, definitely
Okay.
Master of Puppets, because of the down picking. You need to get that. You need to play with down picking. You can't cheat. So
Now,
definitely that one.
when you're writing music or riffs for your own band, do you ever play something and think, "Oh, wait, that sounds too much like Metallica"?
Funnily enough, no, because we play on seven strings. Thank God, because otherwise I think we would be playing like trash metal. So yeah, actually, no. I think funnily enough, somehow I when I sit down to write a song, I don't come up with anything even remotely close because I think it's been done. There's so many
Hmm.
bands that have done it so well, like, and I can
Yes.
never top that. And I don't want to even try to compete with it. It's been done. It's been done in so many different ways. So I just try to do my own thing and see if anybody cares about it.
Hmm. Yes. Okay. Let's see. I guess that's about it on the album and stuff. When you um when you write your music or whatever, like people that write the lyrics, like your singer that writes the lyrics, you might get inspired a certain way of why she wants to write about this, write about that. So as a guitarist, where do you get inspiration for your riffs, or is it just playing so much that it comes up and then you're like, I love this?
This maybe is going to sound super cheesy, but I think what inspires me is life and experiences I kind of go through. And I usually sit down and play something that kind of sounds like how I'm feeling.
Mhm.
So this is the best way I could describe it. No, usually I don't have a band in mind that I want to sound like, a guitar player that I
Mhm.
love, or something that I want to replicate. I just I'm feeling a certain way, and then I maybe want somebody to understand that. And the best way is through music. So that's kind of how it happens.
And you said James Hetfield was a big influence on you. What other was there other bands or guitarists that really influenced you too?
Oh, of course. I mean, we talked about Testament for like a very short
Mhm.
time, and Alex Kolnick is like, amazing, amazing. He's like such a favorite guitar player. Absolutely amazing. I would maybe sometimes even argue that Testament has better riffs and better solos than
Mhm.
Metallica. So definitely Alex Kolnick. I have a lot of other different influences that maybe don't make sense. So like Stevie Ray Vaughan, for instance, a
Mhm.
very different direction, amazing
Yeah.
musician. I love Pink Floyd as well. So David
Mhm.
Gilmour is to me like even he cannot play like himself sometimes. He cannot replicate the feeling that he had, and he can say more with two notes than some musicians can say with 200. So I guess that's I mean, of course we have Pantera and Lamb of God and so many other bands, so much influences, but yeah, maybe those are like my top.
Those are all good. Great. Um, okay. Now, is there anything else you want to add about Metallica before we say goodbye? Or is there anything you want to say about your band, maybe that for people that maybe don't know your band?
Oh, wow. Okay. So, well, about Metallica, I think that just people should not be hating on what they're doing now or what they did before. And bands change and people evolve. And I would be very concerned if they're the same people as they were when they were 20 and writing the same music. We'd get bored of it.
Yeah.
So, I think that we should just admire what they're doing and, well, not do the same, but just, well, listen to the music, appreciate it, love it. And about my band, well, I would say to people to check us out. We're kind of cool. We don't play Metallica, but we're kind of nice. We play interesting stuff. Hopefully next year we're gonna have a new album and hopefully some live shows coming up around Europe. So let's see about that. And yeah, so just follow us and then you're gonna see what we're kind of up to.
Okay, great. Well, I want to thank you for being on the show. It was great to have you here and have your how this album inspired you and stuff like that. So thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
And I will just thank everybody for listening. And if everything goes right, the next album we're going to do is by the group Malice and their debut album called In the Beginning. Have you ever heard of the group Malice?
I don't think so. Am I
Okay.
embarrassing myself right now? Okay, maybe
No,
I am. I've
no,
never heard of
they
him.
I think they only released 4 albums. They just had somebody that really wanted to talk about the first one. They sound a lot like Judas Priest, I guess.
Oh, wow.
They're an
Okay.
American band. But anyway, that's probably the next podcast. So if there's any Malice fans, if you know who Malice is, if you don't, well, listen to the podcast and you'll learn who Malice is again. So anyway, again, thank you for joining me and thanks everybody for listening. We will talk to you next week. Goodbye.